welcome back to MCOC Al Bundy Rules. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit subscribe, okay? What I have for you today is going to be easily one of the highest requested items that has been given to me. So I started doing videos a few months ago to include probably the number one question I get from individuals is how to get the legend badge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this video up by a few parts. First, I'm going to explain what and the basic rules for obtaining the legend badge. I am then going to give you 5 musts. I mean, mandatory. You will not get the legend badge without all 5 of these items. And then I'm going to give 4 good ideas, meaning the more of these good ideas, somewhat optional, but the more you put into the 4 good ideas, the more likely you will be successful on your legend run. And it is a painful thing to get all those energy refills depending on how much you saved, how many units you spend, putting all that time into it just to fail. Keep in mind, only 100 people get it. So it's going to be a lot of time and some resources. You don't want to fail. You want to make sure you meet all the needs. So I'm starting off with the email we get every single month to explain what legend is. We all get this. People always ask, what is legend? How do you get it? If you just look at your email, you scroll on down. This is for when the new monthly events come on out, and you will see at the bottom that it has time attack legends. Really, there's a couple types of legends. Every single time, or ways to get legend, every single month, you will get an opportunity to get the legend. This is the most common way to obtain it. When there is new events or new content, like for example on each part of chapter 6 that was put out, that was also another way to get it. That way will be a lot more time consuming, a lot more resource demanding. The easiest, quickest, fastest, least resource dependent will easily be the EQ. So I would recommend doing this, but again, you're going to need certain things in order to have a chance at it. So the top 100 fastest players earn Legends title. You also get some items, nothing too fancy, and some points. You have to get 100% of heroic and master difficulty. So heroic and master. So 100 fastest times. Nowadays, you really have to get it under 3 hours. How do you get under 3 hours? Well, let's start with our tips. Let's start off with tip number 1. Extremely important tip. You need to use one of the top attack champs. Without a doubt, most would say Corvus is number 1. You need to have a maxed out Corvus. In this case, this is who I use for my legend run. And this one would be an R5, 5-star. An R2, 6-star would also work. And people worry about the R3, 6-star Corvuses. Most who have an R3 Corvus have legend long time ago and highly be unlikely for them to use their resources for it again. It's still possible, but Corvus is the bread and butter for legend, and I highly recommend him. There have been people who have stated they have made legends with a couple other possible champs as well. Domino has came up. You would want to use her synergy with Massacre and Rolk for this to get that. Spamming those heavy parries would be a quick way. And then another one people have said they have used. Mine is an R4, but we will go down to my Colossus. He's another one who could be quick build up between that spam heavy combination, and you would also want to use synergies with him, specifically that Omega, possibly Emma Frost as well, in order to, once again, I would recommend Corvus, but if you don't have them, then you could probably try other people, and make sure again that they need to be highly ranked up, okay? Absolutely. So that is tip number 1. If you don't have one of those top champs, wait till you pull them, wait till you rank them up. Number 2 most important tip is then going to be the masteries. So suicide masteries is essential. I do not believe it's possible to get legend run through this way without the suicide mastery. Could there be a rare exception out there? Maybe, but I doubt it. So what does suicide mastery really mean? It means over here. I'm going to show you this part right here. You will see when you have liquid courage maxed out, you get 30% increased attack. And if you see double edge, you get 30% increased attack. That's 60% increased attack right there. Why is it called suicide? Because along the way you lose health. Some champs like Corvus excel and actually gain health with this setup, but most champs will lose health. But you need this 60% attack in order to stand a chance of the legends because it's quick. So you have to end fights quickly. That's 60%. Well, there's other things you could do as well. So this is the main part of the suicide setup. Another part that plays a role will be having to be able to make sure you get some of your health back, which in here will be willpower. Can help. Also decreasing the amount of you take back from bleed, so that will help. There's other things, and this will be our percentage increase on regeneration. So that's some of the stuff you can do, but once again, the key to it, you can move stuff around a little bit. But another one I like to have is, so for my health, let my health go down and get this extra 20% attack as well. So that is going to be tip number 2. You need that suicide mastery. Now moving on to tip number 3, you need to boost. Okay, yes, the content is easy for any player who's going to be going for a legend run, but you have to finish it quickly. Very, very importantly, if you do not finish it quickly, then you're not going to have a quick enough time. Only 100 people get it. So use some of these boosts as you need. Maybe these 30% greater champion boost. So you get that health you don't really need, but you need that attack. And you can also stack it on up with the other boosts, which will be your attack boost as well. So don't be shy on using your items, okay? So 15%. If you have higher, use those. So you want to stay boosted the entire time, even those few seconds, that 2, 3, 5, 10 seconds it saves you per fight with these boosts is going to add up when you have dozens and dozens of fights. And those couple minutes will make a difference. So use these greater attack boosts and use those other boosts as well for your attack. Very important. That is our tip number 3. Tip 4, as far as mandatory to get this done, is you need a fast device. Okay? I'm not going to be able to show you my device on this, but you need something fast. Most people, an extremely high percentage of people who get the Legends run, do it with Apple products. I did it last year with an Apple iPad Pro, which was one of the fastest when it first came out. So newer Apple devices, they have fast loading times. Some of the newer Androids are said to be able to have quicker loading times to where you have a chance. I have seen some people said they've done Legend with Android. It is a little rare. I believe it's possible, but it has to be a top Android device with quick loading times. And you would also need the 5th tip I'm about to get into. But these loading times, if you're using an Android, especially older Androids, it's going to be slow loading time. You're going to wait several seconds each loading screen. Multiply that several seconds by hundreds and hundreds of times that loading screens goes up during your run. You just wasted many, many minutes, if not even an hour, depending on your device, and you will not get it. It's not about how much time spent per fight. It's the total spent from once you click start to once you end. So having to go straight through, and the more time spent loading, the higher your time is going to be, the worse it's going to be. Going on to tip number 5, which will go into conjunction with, similar to the device, is you need to have a fast internet connection. So Wi-Fi, fast Wi-Fi, make sure you go in there, not an area that's overlap, not as slow, not an old dial-up, of course. You want the quickest, fastest Wi-Fi you possibly can. Easy way to check it, see how quick you're loading. You want as minimal load time between your screens as humanly possible. And when I'm talking about load times, what I mean is how long does it take for your screen to load once you go. You see right here, loading, 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 boom, there we go. If that loading screen takes much longer than what you just saw, well, then you're going to have a hard time. And again, loading, 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 you need that loading screen quick. It's going to be through device and through Wi-Fi. All right, so those are my 5 must-haves. Without those 5, you have between 0 to 1% chance, closer to the 0% of hitting the legend run. So now let's increase our odds. Let's do some good ideas. As I mentioned during the introduction of this, it is 100% of the heroic and masters. All right. So the second you start it, you have to go straight through. Which when you do first, it doesn't matter. Okay. But it's heroic and masters. How can you increase your odds? Sometimes people mess up their runs because they try to use Corvus and they run into an Ebony Mod and they have a counter, or they run into a node they weren't expecting. Practice. But how do you practice? Go to Uncollected first. I recommend doing an entire run, or preferably doing a complete exploration of Uncollected first. That way you will know what you're getting into. You will practice at a higher level of difficulty. Take notes on any areas that you might have run into if you need a specific counter for something, because every second you save during your run that you find through proactive measures, higher chance of getting your desired goal of that legend tag. All right, so practice. That's my first tip on good ideas. Second tip on good ideas, wait several days after the update, okay? Because what happens is people try to do the update right now, right then, as soon as it comes out. Historically speaking, most issues with lag and bugs happen right after updates. I've seen many people fail at their attempts because they try to do Legend Run right after the update. There's no need. You got 2 weeks. Read those emails that go out. They tell you how much time you have. Wait several days. Wait for the bugs, the lag, that initial oof going into the system on the servers. Wait for that to die down. It's going to save you time later and less frustration. Then moving on to my third tip, don't be afraid to use synergies, all right? Even if you don't need a bunch of players. You shouldn't be using a bunch of attack team. So if you need specific synergies for that champ that you're primarily using in your run, cool. If not, don't waste those spots. Use things, personal preference, and what I kind of like is maybe this Yellow Jacket and Ant-Man synergy. All right, so we will see Yellow Jacket right here. He gets 6% with Ant-Man. If you go on over to Ant-Man, he also gets 6% with Yellow Jacket. What's that mean? You use both of them, you got 12% attack. It can stack. There's no anti-stacking rules on this. So if you bring 2 Ant-Mans, 2 Yellow Jackets, that's 24% attack. So you can get your 60% from suicides. You can get 30, 45, 50% from your boosts, and then another 24% from if you use those synergies, which saves you a lot of time. And remember, it's only the top 100 fastest times. So every second you save, the better. Final good idea tip would be block out your schedule. I know it sounds simple, but if you're trying to multitask, you're trying to do other stuff, you're going to make mistakes. And although you can recover from those mistakes, you cannot recover the time. So if you have to redo a fight, you pretty much are in a bad shape right now because you're going to lose a lot of time. Block out that schedule. This includes turning off notifications, calls on your phone. That call, that text, those pop-ups can slow you down, can distract you. Block out at least 3 hours. And if you don't think you can do it in 3 hours, you probably want to wait and save your resources to make sure you can meet all these tips correctly. Well, I'm hoping this helped those of you who are trying to go for the Legend Run. Best of luck to all of you on your runs. If you are successful on any attempts through this, please let me know. Anyways, best of luck, and thanks again for watching. And please, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to